What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of the Sit Down. As always, if you enjoy this live stream, please make sure you hit that like button. Let me know what you think of tonight's discussion in the comment section below. If you're new around here, you just haven't done it yet, or you're living under a rock and seeing this video for the first time, I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit that subscribe button below now so you never miss another Sit Down video. What's up, everybody, and welcome in. This is a live stream, and we are back. It's been a while since we've been live. I've not been going live as much over the last couple of months. I generally will just come on here when we've got something interesting to talk about in the world of the mob. I've been definitely a lot more taken out from a lot of the things on here. I just do my videos and that's it, which I'm happy that way at this point. I'm definitely, on a personal level, I'm getting towards the end with this show. I always told myself that it would have a beginning, a middle, and an end. I'm kind of at that end with it, at least from a mob content standpoint. I keep going. I still have ideas, but I'm getting towards the end with it. I am ready to kind of move on in my life a little bit and get into other things. I always have wanted to build a brand, and it'll come, but it's getting there for me. But we've got some news to talk about today. I want to talk about some of the other things that have been going on, particularly with my content. I just want to kind of talk about a few things, take a couple of questions, and leave myself open to you guys as always. If you're a fan of the channel, you have a comment or question, feel free to drop it in the chat. If you like what we're doing, do us a favor and support the channel. Hit that donate button, super chat icon. You can also cash app the show, little dollar sign in the bottom of the chat. Anything you send is always greatly appreciated. It goes towards things like thumbnails and things like that. I have to pay somebody to do that. So it definitely goes a long way. So if you're enjoying what we're doing and you'd like to support our channel, please support it. I hope everybody's having a good week. It's kind of a big week for me, at least over the next week or so. My sister's getting married next week. So that's a pretty good time for our family. So that's exciting. Summer's here. So, all right. I want to get into talking a little bit about John Pappa tonight. John Pappa's in the news. This is him at a much younger age. John Pappa is much older now. John Pappa has been in prison for, going on 25 years at this point. John Pappa was convicted in court of 4 murders. John Pappa did not take a plea. And I think, to me, that's more, I think, of what John Pappa's problem is here going forward and why I don't believe he'll ever be released from prison. For anyone that doesn't know, John Pappa recently filed for another compassionate release, and he was denied. He's going to have to, again, go back to the drawing board with this. And, in a world now where mobsters are being let out left and right, this is definitely, I think, a big knock on John Pappa's confidence at this point. We all ask ourselves, though, does John Pappa deserve to be released from prison? John Pappa is a person who many people would characterize as bloodthirsty. One of his victims' wives would state, as far as John Pappa is concerned, quote, "You're a phony, a fake, a loser, and you're a killer. That's all you'll ever be. Remember that. You've taken lives. You've gotten that taste. Don't act like you deserve anything from anybody. You deserve nothing but suffering like we suffered. You are pure evil and the spawn of evil, and there's nothing else you'll ever be." Those are strong words about John Pappa, but for a period of time in his 20s, John Pappa was one of the most dangerous young criminals connected to the mob. If we know anything, John Pappa's father, Gerard Pappa, was a made member in the Mafia, and his goal was really to follow in his footsteps. He took part in 3 murders in a 12-month period, as well as taking out Joey Scopo in late 1993, which marked really the end of the Third Colombo War. This is a guy who really had no issue taking out anybody at any time. He took pride in it. And the question remains, should someone like this ever be given the light of day? And it presents a question of, nowadays, we see a lot of these guys being released. And does life truly mean life anymore in the feds? Does it mean life or does it mean 25 or 30 years? Because regardless of who we've seen released, whether it's Vito Guzzo or the Gemini twins or any of these guys that come out, they're all people that have either pled guilty or been convicted of conspiracy to commit murder or murder. But this is why, to me, John Pappa will never be released. I think John Pappa is a problem on two levels for the government. Number one, he's a mobster. And we know that for years, mobsters do not get released, at least high-profile ones that don't plead. And that's the biggest problem I think John Pappa has. John Pappa took his case to trial, which, again, very hard to beat, very unlikely to beat. And what you're doing is you're annoying and pissing off the government. You're putting families through long trials. Now, if you're John Pappa, you think about it. If John Pappa pled, right, my guess is they probably threw out 30 years at him. Nope, I'll go to trial. I'm not going to do I'll see what happens. He wasn't going to get off here. There were people that flipped on him. He was dead to rights. I don't know how many people need to hear this, okay? If you do something at the federal level and you truly do it and you cannot prove your innocence, going to trial is an absolute insane move. Now, again, on the state level, that's a different story. But on a federal level, going to trial is insane. Even if you didn't do it, sometimes it's insane. It is very hard to prove your innocence, especially when you got the weight of the U.S. government against you. Any person that's been to prison will tell you that as well. You're in a really bad predicament when you try to take things to trial. And what the government is going to do with people like John Pappa, they're going to make examples and say, stop taking shit to trial. If you're from this cohort, you're not going to get off. You're not going to get anything less than life. And when the rubber meets the road, not only are we going to give you life, but we're never going to let you see the light of day again. There is no life without parole in the feds, right? They don't have parole. But there's no reason if they give you life, they don't have to ever let you out. And the issue that John Pappa also has is he's still fairly young in the grand scheme of things. John Pappa is, in his 50s. In fact, he's only 50. It's not like he has any horrific ailments. John Pappa's generally going to be on the bottom of the totem pole in terms of being released. Now, a lot of people say, well, what about the Gemini twins? They killed dozens of people. That's true. They did. But remember, they were convicted before 1987. And there were different rules back then. So again, every case is case by case. But you cannot take things to trial. And taking things to trial was very detrimental to me if you're John Pappa. Federal Judge Pamela Chen would describe Mr. Pappa as, quote, brutal and senseless, suggesting the remorse he showed at a hearing was just a cynical act last year. Now, at his trial, or not his trial, but as compassionate release case, he discussed that, a lot of the things that he did were due to the fact that he was young and his father was a mobster and, he was just kind of born into it, which he was, but that's no excuse. Pappa would also state about prison, it's been productive. It's been transformative. I've completely changed my way of thinking, my belief system. I've learned that working as hard as you possibly can, being honest and helping others, that those are the three keys to a meaningful life. I now see things clearly, correctly, and my actions are positive, effective, and completely unselfish. Now, this is the old question. Do people that are in prison say these things just to get a favorable decision and be released? And this also begs a question that I've posed before. I think we have to strongly look at anybody that commits a crime at the capital level under the age of 25. I think we have to take a strong thought into account of their age. Now, a lot of people are going to say to me, well, if you're 22, 23, you know what you're doing, you're a grown man. True. In the eyes of the law, when you're 18, you're called a man or a woman, and you are an adult. But think about your life. What one of us at the age of 21, 22 was the same that we were when we were 35 or 40? You learn so much from 22, 23 till like 30. I'm not making excuses for John Pappa. That said, I think there is, and again, I don't know the man. That said, this amount of time in prison, that is a long time. Could John Pappa be a functioning member of society again? I think that also weighs against this too. The strong thought is, and again, I don't think we should use this as a way of doing things, but most of the time, these people that were in the mob or associates to the mob, they go right back to it. Now, Pappa is not a made guy, but he is killed for the mob. He's done 25 years for the mob. His father was in the mob. He has tattoos on his back discussing death before dishonor. Is it just an act? I don't know that John Pappa, I don't know if he'll ever get out. If he does, it ain't going to be anytime soon, at least to me. I think he has made his bed and the judge is telling him to sleep in it. And that's, I think, just really the letter of the law. I think if he pled, he'd probably be out by now, or be close to getting out. I mean, you think about Vito Guzzo. Vito Guzzo pled guilty to 5 murders. 5. He said, I did this one, I did that one, I did this one, I did that one, I did that one. And he only got 38 years. John Pappa only did 4 bodies and got life. Why? He took it to trial. Now, remember, it's life plus 65 years. So he's got to die and then do another 65 years. So it's essentially life. That said, with the first step back, compassionate release, there's all sorts of ways to get out now. No, it's not just for sick people. There are other methods they can use to get you out. Remember, there's a bunch of people that are out of prison on life sentences. That said, those are for drug convictions, not for quadruple bodies. You know, it's really a question by question basis. But John Pappa, 50 years old, going to be in prison for, my guess, at least another half a decade to a decade. You know, and in terms of what does that mean for him, it's just part of a long time he spent in prison. Father was killed when he was very young. Really had, you know, his future kind of decided for him. But, you know, when you take things to trial, you have to understand you are playing a strong game with the government, and they're not going to take it lightly. They're going to hit you hard. And I think they're going to take that more into account when it's time to do things like this. They hold grudges. I think that's kind of what they do. If you're out there watching, I appreciate you being here. Obviously, you know, this isn't going to get as many views as some of my other shows that are a little bit more, you know, current, that sort of thing. But, you know, I think it's important to cover things like this. Again, if you'd like to support our channel, hit that super chat icon, bottom of the chat. It's greatly appreciated. I also want to, before we move on to the next thing that I want to talk about, I want to tell everybody about Prophet X. I've talked about Prophet X here on this channel. Most of you that watch or that will watch this show bet on sports. You're wagering on sports regularly. Maybe you're in a state that you can't bet on sports right now because it's not legal in your state yet. Prophet X might be a real option for you. Prophet X is one of the first sports prediction peer-to-peer exchanges. So what that means is there's no bookmaker putting the odds out there. You're setting the odds. You're betting odds set by other people. You're matching them, and you're able to bet that way. You can bet just like any other sports book, whether it's on the NBA or the NHL or down the road on the NFL, whatever you want to bet on. Prophet X has you covered. And in fact, like I've said before, you're generally going to get the best odds in the business. It's just that simple. And I'm not, you know, I don't sugarcoat. I bet on sports heavily. I've been a sports bettor for many years. And I would strongly urge that you go check it out. Like I said, you might be in an area where you can't even bet on sports, but it's possible that Prophet X is available to you right now. It's up to 40 states at this point. I put the link in the chat box. It's also in the pinned comment and the description of this video. I urge you to go check out Prophet X. go show some love and get $200 in profit cash that goes towards some of your bets when you open your account. Click that link right there. There's a lot coming up, a lot of sports to bet on here. Football will be here before we know it, that sort of thing. So make sure you check out Profit X right now. So in other news, I don't know if I'll say it. I don't know if I'm the talk of the genre, but a lot of people have been discussing some of my videos. Andrew Robertson, 10 euros. Thanks, my friend. Appreciate that. Thanks for showing some love to the channel, man. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you and your constant comments as well. What's going on, Joe S? Thank you for watching. I'm thinking of moving to the moon once your content ends. Well, I don't think you need to do that, but Christian Hunter, thank you for watching, man. What's up, Anthony? Ching, Judy. What's going on, Judy? Papa will probably get released after 10 years. John Pappa's been in prison a lot longer than 10 years, my man. John Pappa, like father, like son. Yeah, unfortunately, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. But yeah, so a lot of videos, they're under attack, right? Jeff Nadu, other people, they make things up. They don't know things, whatever. Look, this is really the last time I'm going to talk about this. I have sourcing in this world. I'm told things, I report on them. I think one of the sad realities of this genre is you're never going to truly get your recognition. You're constantly having to explain things. Nobody believes anything. I've never seen a genre so just hateful. They know everything. You can never help anybody here. It's everybody's a know-it-all. They all know everything. And I think, this is why, when people ask me stuff like, where's Mooney dash cam? This is why. People just get sick of it. They get tired of it. You constantly have to explain yourself to everybody on here. It gets old. It gets old real fast. And, I've tried to do it for as long as I can or I want to. There are still times where I do enjoy this stuff, but, doing like news and stuff anymore, it's kind of just exhausting at this point. You have to constantly explain yourself. You have to constantly hear dog shit nonsense from other content creators. I'll say this again, James Proctor, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You have the actual nerve and the balls to say a goddamn word about me and the story that I put out about the Gambino crime family. And I told you this again, and I'll say it again. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Especially when you texted me literally 5 minutes before trying to get the drop on what happened. Then you want to act like, oh, that didn't happen. You just get tired of it, man. You get tired of these people in this genre, And then you pretend, then these people pretend, they don't need me or anybody else. Do you know how many look at everybody's thumbnails. What do they look like? Mine. Why do you think that is? Just gets old. I'll tell you that. It just gets old. Moody Dashcam was great. A lot of people were great, but they get tired of this genre, so they leave. What's up, Joseph? How you doing, man? What's up, Stuart? Thanks for watching, man. But I always will say this. Consider the sources that are telling you these things. Seriously. Do I have to go into those folks? I'm not even going to say his name because that's all he wants me to say. But I mean, consider the source. But he said it didn't happen. Oh, so we should believe him? A known liar? A guy who cooperated? Yeah, let's believe him. I'm sure he knows everything, right? I'm sure all those May guys really talk to him, right? By the way, to that guy, whatever happened to the utility you were going to put out? That never happened, huh? Another fucking lie. These cruddy ass people, man. They're just cruddy. That's all they are. And I think what happens is, like I said, people just get tired of it, man. They get tired of talking about it. Same shit over and over. You have to constantly explain yourself. Even the Gino Gabrielli interview. Why would you interview him? Well, because he was part of something that involved members of the Gotti family, and I wanted to get his side of the story. He's a drug addict. It's not my job to judge. All I'm trying to do is get his side of the story. Take it for what it is. I've also never seen a genre that is so. They constantly have all the answers, but none of them do it themselves. You know, it's always, oh, I could do this, or why she do this, or why can't I? Then do it. Everybody knows everything on here, but none of them have a channel. They just sit on other channels or sit in comment sections and talk about how I'm wrong with everything. So I don't appear anymore. I just do my own thing. But if down the road, when I do leave, this is why. I'm just tired of it. I want to get into other things. I want to go back to my other life, talking about sports, you know, getting into different content. This content is tired. It takes a lot out of you dealing with this kind of stuff. You know, talking about these people, you know, night in and night out. You know, it's tough. It gets to you after a while. You know. John Pappa was so young when he committed those crimes. I don't think he deserves life. Well, look, I'm not ready to say that. But I do think that someone like John Pappa is a totally different person than the one that committed those crimes, I would imagine. You know, I'm sure he has a lot of regret and dismay over his life before, you know. And I think he's had to pay for every single bit of it, and he's going to have to keep paying it. So, you know, you also think at some of these people that, you know, like for instance, Mr. Proctor, he has all this shit to say about me and everybody else. This is the same guy who talks about we put out real content. We don't talk about active people, but you constantly talk about active people. And you then also ran with a story that was blatantly false, but it got you numbers, so you ran with it. Let's talk about Jeff Nadu. He called the FBI on Joey Merlino. No proof of it. Just somebody said it, so it must be true. You don't think about what it could do to the person that it's about. But hey, it's funny, so we'll just run with it. Who cares if it's true? I think to me, that's what I won't do. I would call someone and say, hey, you know, are you okay? I heard about this. What happened? Okay. Well, I won't run with it then. No, it doesn't matter. Nadu gets a lot of views, so we'll just do it. And you know, the thing is, you hear a lot of these people talk about, I'll sue you. You know how much that costs? Fortunately, there's not much you can do about it. You just have to sit there and take it. That's the sad game we play. You know, you have to constantly just take it. What's going on, M. Coop? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Am I ever going to cover Puerto Rican or Colombian organizations? I don't know. Maybe. You never know. But I would strongly tell you, check me out on Instagram, my man. I mean, I do a ton of different types of content there. That's to me really what I enjoy doing is Instagram. Just due to the fact that I talk about all sorts of different crime. I don't have to just talk about the mob. Which is what's my favorite part of this, you know. Appreciate that, Joe. Thanks, my man. Thanks for supporting me, man. Your Instagram is doing great. Yeah, it is. I'm up to 160K on Instagram. You know, and it's really just come from posting, man. You know, constantly posting, you know, posting every day, multiple times a day. You know, and that's, I think, if anybody has an interest in posting on Instagram or TikTok, the goal and how you grow is just by posting. putting in the time and doing it. The thing about YouTube that I just don't understand is people spend so much time doing shorts, but they don't post them anywhere else. Like, they just post them on YouTube and get nothing from them. I mean, case in point, you look at this Instagram that I created right here. I'm up to 160. I did 11.3 million views over the last 30 days. Just straight posting, man. That's all you do. Straight post. Constantly putting stuff up. That's how you grow. And that's how I've been able to grow over the years. Appreciate that, Judy. Hope things get better for me. I'm good, man. I couldn't be better. Couldn't be better. What's up, Nab Costello? Thank you for watching. What questions do we have, guys? I'm going to hang out for a little bit here. It's actually an interesting week, man. We got a lot of on this day this week. Yesterday, June 10th, 23rd anniversary of the passing of John Gotti. John Gotti died on June 10th, 2002, at the age of 61. June 10th was also in 2007, 18 years ago, the anniversary of the final episode of The Sopranos. I remember that week well, because in June of 2007, I graduated from high school. I remember I graduated on, I believe it was the 4th or the 6th. And I remember at the time we had a shore house, and me and two of my friends, we got to go to the shore house for 5 days by ourselves. It was me and two of my friends, my boy Brandon and my boy Giovanni. We went there for the week. And I remember my mom and my father were going to come down. They were going to leave. They were then going to come down. And I remember telling my parents, I said, because we didn't have HBO at the shore, I said, you gotta tape it and bring me the finale. And that was back when you had to tape things, right, on VHS. I remember they came down, they brought it down, and I went into the room and I was watching it. I remember the end came, the screen went black, and I said, what the fuck? And I heard my mom laughing. And she says, just wait. And the credits came. And I thought, no shit, that's the way it ends? And that was 18 years ago already. It's crazy how quick time flies. I was thinking about that last night. I was talking to somebody about, I remember when I was 25, I said to myself, I'm halfway to 50. That was already 11 years ago. I'll be 36 in 1 month. It is insane, man. Insane how quick time goes. It's crazy. You don't have to say you have a question. Just ask it. Just ask it. What did I have for dinner tonight? Well, so I'm a 1 meal a day guy, so I only eat once. I had a chicken Caesar salad, and I had sausage and peppers. Sausage and peppers. It was very good. It was very good. I like your channel. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Mad Sam. Appreciate that. Maybe at some point. I did a video on Dina Manzo and I talked a little bit about her father. I don't know if I'll do a full video on him per se. Am I going to Vegas for the WSOP? No, I don't believe I am. No, I will tell you, here's how I will be going to Vegas. I actually am going to LA to play in Hustler Casino Live. It's a live stream playing poker, and I'll make sure I drop it for everybody to watch it if you want. I'm playing a big game on the 30th. It's a Monday night. It's 10-20-40. So I'm going to be playing. It's going to be broadcasted and everything. If I do well in that game, I might go straight to Vegas and buy into the main event. We'll see. We'll see. But no, not at this time. I don't have it planned because I'm going to be in Vegas for the Hustler Casino thing. And then my birthday is like right after it. So I'm going to be going home. But if I do well in that game, I might hop over to Vegas quick and see how it goes, enter day one, if I move on, keep doing it. Were Papa's victims all in the life? No, they weren't. What were Papa's crimes? 4 murders, drug dealing, racketeering. Do I know anything about Giacomo Amato? Never heard of him. Taping, I feel old. Yeah. I remember growing up, that's what you had to do. Then we got DVRs. That was the cool thing, right? Hope all is well. What's up, Lawrence? Thank you. Appreciate you watching, man. If anybody would like to donate, feel free to hit that super chat icon, bottom of the chat. It's greatly appreciated. It goes towards the channel. The cut to black pissed me off. Yeah, pissed a lot of people off. People wondered and didn't understand it for a long time. Joe S., do you have a favorite interview that they've done? Do I have a favorite interview? You know what's crazy, Joe? I actually recorded an interview today that'll be out the first week of July. I really enjoyed it. It's not a made guy or anything, but it was enjoyable. I would say that some of my favorites were Jack Garcia. The first time I spoke to Jack, Peter Lavaglio, and that's just because I thought Peter was a really nice guy. I still think he is. You know, he's always been a really kind guy. Frank Fiordolino was interesting. John Gleeson. Trying to think of some other ones. Chad Marks. You know, I always like talking to the prison people. Eric Foss. And the reason for that is most of them are not cooperators, which I have nothing, you know, I don't like or dislike any of them people. It's not my job to judge. But you always have to constantly kind of probe and get into things deeper. I've noticed with people that have been to prison that, you know, they just kind of take responsibility. It's just a lot easier. So I like a lot of those interviews. They're just interesting to me. I would probably say my favorite, best one that I think I've ever done was we did a show. This was probably 2+ years ago, at least. I interviewed an author, Pete Early. We talked about Thomas Silverstein, who's the longest tenured solitary confinement inmate in the federal system. And he wrote a book about it called No Human Contact. That interview was super interesting. I love the prison interviews. I do. I think if I ever moved on from this genre, I have a pretty strong idea that I would love to do. And maybe I will do it. Yeah, it does. Soon you'll be 41, man. I'm 69. I remember my 40th birthday like it was 2 weeks ago. Ain't that true? So do I. It's a great time of the year, man. Great times. Everything was great in the 2000s. Like, what was bad about the 2000s? Literally nothing. Everything was better. Sadly, though, I think, you know, the thing that changed society as we know it, and it's been a sharp decline since, was 9/11. Life was never truly the same after that. And life was truly never the same after like 2016, 2017. Will Saquon Barkley repeat what he did last year? I think it's unlikely. I mean, if he repeated that this year, he'd probably be a Hall of Famer after doing that. We have to realize he got almost 2,000 yards. That's very hard to do. He had like 460 touches last year. That's insane production. It's just hard to do that as an NFL player. That said, could he? Absolutely. I mean, the Eagles have the best offensive line in the NFL. Great offense. Saquon's terrific. Just got to stay healthy. I think, though, they'll throw the football more this year. So I just think with the number of touches, he'll probably be down 380, 400. Is Vincent Pappa, I think Vince is first name that was in Lucchese family related to Jerry and his son, John. I'm not sure. Honestly. Papa is a pretty common name, so I don't believe so, but can I do a video on the cast of Mob Wives? I already have. I did a video on that a long time ago. I would say if you have a question about a video, just go to YouTube and search the subject and then the sit down and you'll find it. Good luck at Hustler. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I hope you'll watch, man. I'll make sure I drop the link. Yes, that's a good point, actually. It's Vincent Pappa, P-A-P-A, not P-A-P-P-A. Good call. I've been there. Good grab. you're at the end of the channel, maybe we should find another resource. Go ahead. I didn't say it was over. I said someday it'll be over. And then, yeah, you're welcome to do whatever you want. Would I ever review Tulsa King? In the opinion on how the Kansas mob are pretty big in that TV show. I don't think I'll ever review that. No, honestly, people don't really watch the review videos. I did 2 reviews on movies and they didn't get any views. So I kind of quickly pull things that don't work. Again, Mike, I think unfortunately it's just how this genre is. You just have to go with what works. And this genre just doesn't like anything other than like Five Families content. Even like you got to be careful on how far you go back. You do a video on the 50s in the mob, nobody watches it. Nobody actually cares, and that's why, again, I like Instagram because I can, like I did an Instagram on, where was it here? I did an Instagram on Ireland or one of the cities or the countries over there, and it got 1.7 million views. Like I like the fact that I could talk about so many different things. Where do I stand with Drake? I like Drake. I have no ill will. Like I don't listen to Kendrick Lamar, so I don't, I don't really listen to either of them, but I don't have any issue with either of them really. What's up, my man? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Melancholy, $2. Who is your favorite person to make a video on? Wow. I don't think I have any particular like person that I enjoy talking about more than others. I've always found Joe Messino to be interesting. Vinny the Chin, Kabani Savage. I was enjoyed talking about that guy. I don't think there was anything in particular that like I liked more than others. I have a law class at LaSalle. I had a whole chapter on libel slander. Our teachers literally laughed out loud when he hears, "I'll sue you for slander." You have to literally prove what the person said literally destroyed your life. Well, I would say people in here do that a lot. I mean, there are people willingly on here that are trying to incite people to come hurt me. Like, I guess I always say, like, that's why I think this is such a cynical genre, because like people, until it happens, and then people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe we didn't see this coming." And it's like, well, we tried to warn you. Like people break my balls, like that I went to the nut house when like they don't even know the story. They don't really even know what happened. They think they know, but they don't actually know. And it's like, if you knew what actually happened, like you would realize like these are people that literally talk about your medical records like they've read them and know. Like it's insane that people actually took this shit and ran with it. But like people will do anything. It doesn't have to be true. It's just it could be, so we'll run with it. What's up, David? What's crazy is you've given a bunch of your haters their first interviews. Crazy how they turn. Well, that's true. A lot of these people I gave I gave life to. That's a great point. How quickly do they forget? I would like to go back to the 70s. Yeah, I never saw them, but yeah, I would. I don't disagree. Can you imagine what it would be like if everybody took everybody to court for just saying something? That's true. Yeah, good point. Is Ronnie G home? Yes. Yes, Ronnie G is home. Yusuf Yakub says, my first live. What's up, Yusuf? Thank you for watching, my man. Say, have you ever thought about doing a video on Skinny Razor, the gangster from Atlantic City that groomed Nikki Scarfo? Yeah, I have. Maybe at some point I will. That's a good one. 1450 is the over-under for rushing yards for Saquon. How to body put 1500 on the under. Think everybody's going to key on Saquon. Well, it's easier said than done, man. 1450 seems about fair. I think that seems a little low to me. My guess is 1587. Rip says, I need my money. I don't even know who you are. Yes, I've done a video on that. Yep. Yeah, I did that one a while ago as well. All these I've done. All these I've done. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you all for watching. It's definitely been the lives have been a little less watched. I feel like so. I kind of wanted to stay on for about 45 minutes. So yeah, I thank you for watching. Thank you for checking out this video on John Pappa. And just kind of talking a little bit. Hope everybody has a good day and a good night. I have a new video coming out on Saturday. Make sure you check it out. This will be a good one. I think you'll enjoy it. So yeah, make sure you check that out. Later.